The day my sister-in-law moved in, my brother gave us a pair of expensive jade bracelets, a gift to ensure we'd get along. I immediately took one and put it on, feeling her expectant gaze on me. But as soon as they left, I took it off and glued it to the underside of my brother's bed. I did this because I had been reborn. In my previous life, I felt sorry for the hard life my sister-in-law had lived. I not only smiled and put on the bracelet, but did everything I could to help her fit in with our family. With my help, she grew closer to our family and even successfully launched her own business. People praised her for having a knack for making money. Meanwhile, my life fell apart. The businesses I opened failed one after another, and then I was in a horrific car accident. As I lay dying, I heard my sister-in-law sobbing to my brother, "Owen, it's all my fault. If it weren't for me, you wouldn't have had to watch Chloe suffer like this." My brother comforted her in a low voice. "Ashley, swapping your fates was my idea, but I'm sure Chloe would have wanted this too. You're her sister-in-law. She's had so many happy years, it's only right that she give you a chance at happiness." As they consoled each other, I finally understood. My brother, pitying his wife for her cursed life, had used the jade bracelets to give my good fortune to her. I died with my eyes wide open. And now, given a second chance, I would make my vicious brother and his wife reap what they sowed. "Chloe, come see if you like these bracelets." My brother, Owen, opened the box in his hands, revealing a pair of dazzling, beautiful jade bracelets. I snapped back to reality, stunned to see the familiar jewelry in front of me. Wasn't this the day Owen gave me the bracelets? Had I really been reborn? Before I could process it, Owen spoke again. "What's wrong, Chloe? Didn't you sleep well last night?" I looked up at his question. He was looking at me, his face filled with concern, but deep in his eyes, I saw a flicker of panic, a fear that I might discover something. My sister-in-law, Ashley, standing beside him, had the same look. I silently clenched the hem of my shirt, my heart filled with hatred. So the signs were there all along. I was just too trusting to see their cruelty. In my last life, after Owen and Ashley started dating, he was always telling me how pitiful she was. Right before the wedding, he even sighed and told me, "Your sister-in-law has just had a tough life. She wasn't born into a good family, so she's been through so much hardship. Every time I see people giving her a hard time or bullying her, it breaks my heart and makes me so angry. It was just me and Owen in our family, and our parents had always doted on us. We were always close. So when he said that, I told him, it's okay, Owen. You and Ashley are about to get married. From now on, just be as good to her as you can, and help her forget all the unpleasant things." Owen stared at me for a moment, then smiled. "Of course. I'll do everything in my power to make her happy." I thought everything in his power meant his own efforts. I never imagined he would target me. To change his wife's fate, he had gotten his hands on 2 bizarre jade bracelets to swap my good fortune for her bad luck. I forced myself to calm down and managed a smile. "I guess I didn't sleep well. I was just so excited that you finally married Ashley." I lowered my head, pretending to admire the bracelets with a satisfied look. "These bracelets are beautiful. Are they for me?" Hearing my words, a flicker of guilt crossed Owen's eyes, but he still pushed the box toward me. "Yes. One is for you, and the other is for your sister-in-law. Now that she's part of the family, I hope you two can get along." His tone was sincere, as if that was all he really wanted. Remembering my past life, I smiled and took the box. "Don't worry, Owen. I'll definitely help Ashley feel at home here." Seeing me happily accept the box, the tension in Owen's face finally eased. He smiled and handed the other bracelet to Ashley. She excitedly put it on right in front of me, then looked at me with anticipation. In my past life, I saw her expression and naively thought she was just eager to get closer to me. Only now did I understand. She just wanted me to put on the bracelet, so she could steal my fate. I played along and slipped the bracelet onto my wrist. Ashley's eyes instantly lit up. She stepped forward and took my hand. "Chloe, that bracelet looks so beautiful on you. I hear that wearing good jade for a long time is really good for your health." Owen chuckled. "Then you two had better wear them every day." Ashley smiled, tucking a stray hair behind her ear with a shy look. "This is the first gift you've given me since we got married. Of course I'll wear it every day. And Chloe will too, right?" Seeing how eager she was for my promise, I knew I had guessed correctly. This curse wasn't instantaneous, it needed time. I didn't know how long, but at least I was sure that wearing it for a little while wouldn't do any real harm. I smiled and nodded. Of course. Owen studied my expression, and his eyes showed complete relief. With the plan in motion, Ashley was overjoyed. She couldn't wait to say, "Chloe, your brother has to work this afternoon. Why don't you come out with me for a bit?" Her eyes were bright, but I gently pulled my hand away and said apologetically, "I'm sorry, Ashley, but I'm really exhausted. I need to go lie down for a bit." Ashley's brow furrowed, and she started to say, "But..." Owen quickly grabbed her arm, cutting her off. "I know you want to get along with Chloe, but there's no need to rush. Let her get some rest first." Ashley's face paled slightly as she realized she had been too eager. She forced a smile at me and apologized. "That was thoughtless of me. You go get some rest." I nodded and turned to go upstairs. With my back to them, my eyes turned cold. I knew why Ashley was so desperate for me to go out with her. She was naturally unluckier than most people. She'd choke on water or catch a cold from a slight breeze. Now that I was wearing this bracelet, if we went out and ran into trouble, I would be the one to suffer. I locked my bedroom door and went straight to the window. It was open a crack, and if I listened carefully, I could hear their conversation. "Honey, when will I finally be free of this bad luck? If this jinx stays with me, what about our future children?" Ashley's voice was soft and pitiful, and by the end, she was on the verge of tears. "Ashley, don't be silly. As long as I'm here, you'll be safe and sound from now on." When Chloe was little, Mom and Dad had her fortune told. She was born with rare good fortune, not just wealthy but healthy too. Just listen to the spiritualist. Keep wearing the bracelet, and soon, her good luck will be yours. Owen's voice was full of pity, and he spoke without a hint of hesitation. It was as if the person whose fate was being stolen wasn't his own sister. Even though I knew he was cruel enough to sacrifice anything for Ashley, my heart still ached. We were the only two kids in the family, and we had been so close growing up. Every time I got into trouble, Owen would jump in and take the blame, accepting the punishment alone. I would share any treats or new toys I got with him. I never thought that the brother who had been so good to me would one day harm me for someone else. Clenching my fists, I swallowed my disgust and kept listening. Ashley was deeply moved, her tears turning to a smile. "Honey, the only lucky thing that ever happened to me was meeting you. You said you would always put me first and give me all the best things. You really did it. Silly girl, you're my wife. Who else would I be good to?" Owen's voice was full of affection. They continued their lovey-dovey talk, but they didn't say how long it would take for my good fortune to transfer to her. Just as I was getting anxious, Ashley's phone rang. I couldn't hear what the person on the other end said, but after she hung up, she told Owen, "The things I ordered have arrived. They said I can pick them up this afternoon. Honey, Chloe and I just put these bracelets on. I don't feel secure yet. I want her to come with me." Sensing her anxiety, Owen's heart went out to her. "Then wake her up this afternoon and have her go with you. That way, if any danger really comes up, she can shield you from it." My eyes went cold. This afternoon was when I had my first accident because of the bracelet. I remembered it clearly. While I was with my sister-in-law picking up her things, a falling vase smashed me in the head, and I ended up in the hospital. I lowered my eyes in thought for a moment, then pretended I hadn't heard anything. When Ashley came to my room that afternoon to ask me to go out, I agreed immediately. Ashley was ecstatic. She dressed herself up beautifully and looped her arm through mine as we headed out. "Chloe, I know you didn't sleep well, and I still dragged you out with me. I feel so bad. How about this? If you see a purse you like later, I'll buy it for you. It's your brother's money anyway." Her smile was gentle, and my eyes lingered on her face for a second. If I hadn't died once before, who would have guessed that behind that gentle mask was such a venomous soul? I let out a soft laugh. "Okay. I've been running around helping with everything these past few days. Ashley, you'll have to make it up to me on my brother's behalf." The moment I said it, the gentle smile on her face froze, her eyes wide with disbelief. Seeing her reaction, I deliberately asked, "What's with that look, Ashley? Are you having second thoughts? Huh. Of course not, Chloe. You really have worked hard these last few days, Ashley said with a strained smile. Your brother is busy with work, so it's only right for me as his wife to make it up to you. She said the words, but her eyes were filled with resentment. I knew she had just been making a casual offer and had no intention of actually spending money on me. After all, ever since she started dating Owen, she hadn't spent a single penny of her own. When she went out with Owen, he paid for everything. When she and I went shopping, I would remember Owen's instructions to never mention money in front of her and to pay for everything myself. Whenever Ashley felt bad about it, she'd offer to treat me to a meal next time as a thank you. But Owen constantly reminded me that her family was poor and she didn't have much money, so I should never let her pay for anything, not even a thank you treat. So every time Ashley promised to treat me, I still ended up paying. Over the years, she had gotten used to it. She probably never expected me to take her polite offer seriously. Suppressing my disgust, I linked my arm tighter with hers and pulled her toward a luxury mall. Ashley's body tensed, and she bit her lip, forcing down her displeasure. I browsed the designer counters, pointed to several bags in a row, and smilingly told Ashley to pay. Seeing I was serious, a flash of annoyance crossed her eyes. Finally, through gritted teeth, she took out the supplementary credit card Owen had given her and paid. Standing behind her, I smirked, my eyes full of scorn. In my last life, that couple took plenty from me. Even the assets I left behind after I died were transferred to Ashley's name by my brother to show his devotion. After all the years they made my life miserable, I was going to get it all back, piece by piece. I walked out with several shopping bags in my hands, moving slowly. Ashley was so pained by the expense she couldn't even manage a smile. Terrified I'd pick out something else for her to buy, she hurriedly pulled me out of the mall. Chloe, I'm almost late for my appointment with the seller. We need to hurry. I thought for a moment, and said with a smile that I would follow her lead. The pickup location was the same as in my last life, a busy street market near the mall. Last time, this was where I got hit. As we got closer, Ashley's expression grew excited. She pulled me along, urging me to hurry, not even willing to wait for the last few seconds of the don't walk signal. Ashley, it's a red light. Let's wait, I said, pretending to caution her. Ashley looked across the street expectantly and replied without hesitation. Don't worry, there are hardly any cars on this road. We'll be fine. With that, she pulled me into the street. Recalling her confident words, a chill ran through me. Before, whenever we went out together, she was always so careful, afraid of getting bumped or hurt. Now, wearing the bracelet that could steal my good fortune, she was reckless, completely indifferent to what would happen to me after she'd taken my luck. A cold smile touched my lips. I glanced down at the translucent jade bracelet on my wrist, a ruthless glint in my eye. You can keep your bad luck to yourself. Ashley dragged me forward. Just as we reached the middle of the road, a car suddenly came tearing around the corner. It was moving incredibly fast, swerving left and right. The driver saw us and, eyes wide, screamed, "Get out of the way. The brakes are out." Ashley froze in terror, her face pale, her hand still gripping my arm like a vice. I didn't panic. I just stood there with her. Just as the car was about to hit us, Ashley suddenly snapped out of it. Probably in her panic, she dropped the pretense and shoved me hard, trying to use me as a shield. But just then, the driver yanked the steering wheel, changing direction. I was pushed to the ground, but other than a scraped arm, I was fine. It was Ashley, who had frantically shoved me toward the car, who was knocked to the ground, her leg bleeding profusely. "Ah! Chloe, help me. Call an ambulance." Her face was ashen and she couldn't move. A crowd immediately gathered, some watching, others taking pictures. I wasn't in any hurry to help her. After all, the malicious woman had just tried to get me hurt in her place. Ashley. I pretended to be in shock, taking a few seconds to react. I struggled up from the ground and stumbled over to her, looking helplessly at her wound. "There's so much blood. What do we do?" Ashley looked at her bleeding leg and, with pale lips, cursed at me. "Are you stupid? I told you to call an ambulance." Seeing that she'd lost a good amount of blood, I finally remembered to take out my phone and call for help. When my brother arrived at the hospital and saw Ashley in the hospital bed, he turned on me angrily. Chloe, you went out with your sister-in-law. Why didn't you look after her? You know her health isn't good. Ashley lay in bed, her eyes red, listening to Owen berate me. She didn't mention that she had been the one to jaywalk, acting like a victim who I had dragged into trouble. The smile on my face faded. Owen, yes, Ashley was with me. But she was the one who pulled me into traffic against a red light. The blame isn't on me. Owen was taken aback, then frowned. Even so, you should have stopped her. Before he could finish, Ashley raised a hand and tugged on his sleeve, tearfully blaming herself. Honey, don't blame Chloe. It was my fault today. I was in too much of a hurry. I saw there were no cars and just wanted to cross quickly. I never expected a car to come out of nowhere. Her words were pitiful, and Owen's heart immediately softened. He comforted her right in front of me, then angrily dragged me out of the room. Chloe, when did you become so unreasonable? Yes, your sister-in-law made a mistake today, but she's the one who got hurt. She's already upset. Did you really have to say those things in front of her? What did I tell you before? Your sister-in-law didn't grow up with much and has never had an easy life. As her family, we should be as tolerant and caring as possible. Halfway through his lecture, I couldn't help but let out a sneer. Owen, she's your wife. You can treat her however you want. Why are you telling me all this? Anyone who didn't know better would think you married her for me. Owen froze, staring at me in disbelief. How can you say that? Chloe, you've been acting strange ever since I saw you. What is wrong with you? His tone was baffled, and his eyes flashed with the fear that I might have discovered something. His gaze flicked to my wrist. Seeing the familiar jade bracelet, he visibly relaxed. I sneered inwardly, my expression hardening. You should ask Ashley yourself. I'm going to get some food. With that, I brushed past his shoulder and went downstairs. 2 minutes later, I was back at the door to the hospital room. Owen was frowning, asking Ashley, honey, what's going on between you and Chloe? She seems to have a problem with you. Ashley stammered for a moment before saying guiltily, I was in such a panic, I accidentally pushed Chloe, and she almost got hit by the car. It was my fault. Owen breathed a sigh of relief. I thought it was something serious. It was an accident. Why is she making such a big deal out of it? She's not a child anymore. In such a dangerous situation, he never once considered the potential consequences of Ashley pushing me. He just kept complaining that I was being petty. I just checked. The jade bracelet on her wrist is perfectly fine, so don't worry. It's only the beginning, so the bracelet hasn't had much effect yet. The psychic said that once she wears it for 7 days, her good fortune will completely transfer to you. Honey, you just rest here in the hospital for a few days. Don't go running around again. After a few more words of caution, the two of them were soon back to being sickeningly sweet with each other. Leaning against the wall, I finally let out a breath of relief. The only reason I had risked coming out with Ashley today was to find out how the bracelet worked. Now that I knew, there was no need to stay at the hospital and take care of her. Glancing at the bracelet on my wrist, I pulled out my phone and texted Owen that something had come up at one of my stores, then turned and left. If this bracelet was so powerful that it could transfer good fortune in just 7 days, then let Owen's good fortune be transferred to Ashley. They were a married couple, and Owen loved her so deeply, he would surely be willing to give his good luck to her. I hurried home, where an employee from one of my jewelry stores was waiting, having received my message. Ma'am, here's the bracelet you asked for. Please take a look. I opened the box and examined it carefully. The bracelet glowed with a green light, very similar to the one Owen had given me. Unless you looked closely, you'd never be able to tell them apart. The bracelet is perfect. I'll give you a bonus. And remember, don't tell anyone about this. I smiled as I gave the instruction. The employee's eyes lit up, and she immediately promised to keep her lips sealed. After she left, I took off the bracelet I'd managed to dig out of my room and put on the one the employee had brought. After hearing Ashley's plan this morning, I had started rummaging through my drawers, looking at the few bracelets I owned. After comparing them one by one, I actually found one that looked similar to the one from Owen. If I hadn't swapped them out beforehand, I would be the one lying in the hospital right now. Back in my room, I took the bracelet Owen had given me, went straight to his and Ashley's bedroom, and glued it firmly to the underside of their bed frame. That morning, I had asked someone to consult a famous spiritualist, who told me that objects used to swap a person's fortune are inherently evil, and those who use them to harm others are truly wicked. If I wanted the person who harmed me to suffer a backlash, I should place it in the closest possible location, somewhere they would be in contact with it daily. I thought about it carefully. There was no place more suitable than under their bed. In my last life, Owen was so eager for Ashley to get rid of her bad luck that he postponed their honeymoon until the end of the year. After I put on the bracelet, he found all sorts of excuses to make me go shopping with her, terrified that he wouldn't be able to swap my good fortune. I remembered that for the next 2 weeks, he and Ashley would be staying at home, which was just enough time to transfer his good luck to her. A sarcastic smile touched my lips as I left the room. That night, Owen came home alone. When he saw me, he instinctively glanced at my wrist. Confirming the bracelet was still there, he said with relief, "Chloe, your sister-in-law told me what happened. It was wrong of her to push you, but she was just scared. It was an instinctive reaction to want someone to protect her. You know, no one ever really cared about her when she was growing up. She's timid by nature, so deep down she's just desperate for someone to protect her when danger strikes. Anyway, don't hold it against her. You weren't hurt, so just let it go." He so casually dismissed the incident that I finally snapped. "What do you mean I wasn't hurt? Owen, does that mean only your wife's life matters? You don't care if I live or die?" I confronted him face to face. Owen frowned, his voice filled with impatience. "I'm just saying you weren't hurt, so you shouldn't hold a grudge against your sister-in-law. Why are you overthinking it so much?" He rubbed his temples, his voice dripping with disappointment. "I thought that as a woman, you'd be able to empathize with how hard things have been for her. But you forget it. Just pretend I didn't say anything." I stared at his face, trying to find a crack in his performance, but Owen's act was flawless. If I hadn't been killed by them before, his words would have made me reflect and doubt myself. I might have even gone to the hospital to make peace with Ashley. I let out a derisive laugh. "All right. I was born lucky. I've had everything I ever wanted since I was a child. Of course I can't empathize with a sister-in-law who shoves her husband's sister in front of a car to save herself." Owen seemed stunned that I would say that. Surprise flashed in his eyes, quickly replaced by anger. "Chloe, I already told you she didn't do it on purpose. What will it take for you to just drop this? Does she have to get on her knees and beg you?" Seeing his anger, I didn't argue. I just reached for the bracelet on my wrist. "She doesn't have to beg. I'll just give the bracelet back to you. From now on, she and I are just strangers living under the same roof." "No, don't take it off." Owen's eyes filled with panic as he reached out to stop me. I glared at him. "Why are you stopping me?" Owen's anger instantly dissipated, and his attitude softened considerably. "Chloe, you can't take your anger out on the bracelet. It took me forever to find this pair. It cost me 7 figures. When I bought them, I just wanted you and your sister-in-law to get along. If you smash it in a fit of anger, how are you two ever going to make up?" He held up 7 fingers. A cold smile played on my lips. Spending 7 figures on bracelets to steal my good fortune. Wow, Owen, your love for Ashley is truly deep. I desperately suppressed my rage, wondering what his expression would be when he found out his own good fortune was being transferred to his wife. He'd probably be thrilled. With that thought, I composed myself, my expression still cold. "What? So Ashley's allowed to shove me into traffic out of fear, but I'm not allowed to smash a bracelet out of anger?" Owen's eyes darkened, his face grim, but he still forced a smile. "Chloe, that's not what I meant. It's just that your sister-in-law, He was about to play the victim card for his wife again, but he stopped himself short. Probably remembering my cold attitude from earlier, he gritted his teeth and changed his tune. "She's still in the hospital. I'll make sure she gives you a sincere apology when she gets out." I didn't say yes or no. I just gave him a long, hard look before turning and heading upstairs. Owen ran a hand through his hair in frustration. After sending a quick text to his wife, he went upstairs, planning to get to bed early so he'd have the energy to be with her the next day. After 2 days in the hospital, Ashley came home to recuperate. Lying in bed, she apologized to me with tears streaming down her face. Chloe, I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. Please don't be angry with me. Beside her, Owen, with dark circles under his eyes, frowned and spoke up for his wife. See? Your sister-in-law has apologized. Just be the bigger person and let it go. I glanced at the exhaustion on his face and chuckled softly. Fine. Since she's apologized, let's just put it behind us. Owen let out a visible sigh of relief. Ashley wiped her tears away, glanced at the bracelet on my wrist, and forced a smile. Chloe, I knew you were generous. I looked down at my phone, my tone indifferent. Something came up at the store. I have to go. After making my excuse and leaving their bedroom, I didn't leave right away. Instead, I stood by the door, listening for any sounds from inside. About 2 minutes later, I heard them start talking. From the way Chloe acted, it seems like she still hasn't forgiven me, Ashley said, her voice full of grievance. Owen's voice was weary and cold. Don't worry about her. As long as she said she forgives you and won't think about smashing the bracelet, that's all that matters. Honey, the psychic said that after wearing the bracelet for more than 3 days, it will lock onto her, and her good fortune will slowly be drained away. Today is the 3rd day. After today, you won't be unlucky anymore. As he said this, his voice filled with excitement and joy. Owen was so focused on having Ashley drain my good fortune that he hadn't noticed anything unusual about himself. I sneered silently, tiptoed away, and waited to see what would happen to Owen once his own good fortune was gone. I didn't have to wait long. The next day at the dining table, Owen got a call. A major project he was in charge of had gone south, and he had to take full responsibility. Owen's face fell. He desperately tried to explain things to the person on the phone, but it was no use. Ashley's eyes were full of worry. How could something suddenly go wrong like this? How should I know? Owen snapped, his tone sharp and irritated now that his own neck was on the line. Ever since they started dating, Owen had always spoken to Ashley in a soft, gentle voice. This was the first time he'd ever raised it to her. Ashley's eyes immediately welled up with tears as she looked at him with a wounded expression. I slowly sipped my coffee, keeping an eye on both of them. In the past, Owen would have immediately apologized and dropped everything to comfort her. But the project that failed was the first major one he had ever managed, and it was crucial for his promotion. With such a big project in flames, he certainly had no time to coddle his wife. He didn't even look at her. He just kept talking on the phone as he rushed out the door. For the next 2 days, Owen came home late at night and left again early in the morning. Despite his efforts, the project couldn't be salvaged. He came home dejected, looking like he'd lost his soul. Ashley rushed over to him worried. Honey, what's wrong? Don't scare me. Say something. Honey, my project, it's over, Owen said, his eyes vacant. Ashley tried to comfort him with a pained expression. It's okay, honey. It was just bad luck this time. I'm sure you'll succeed next time. As she tried to console him, Owen seemed to snap. He shoved her away violently and yelled. I watched that project every single day. How did it suddenly go wrong in the last 2 days? Did you infect me with your bad luck? Ashley fell to the floor, staring at him with a hurt and unfamiliar look. Owen, how could you say that to me? Her voice trembled, so heartbroken she couldn't even call him honey anymore. I had been standing silently on the staircase, watching the show. Seeing this, I walked down with a disapproving look. Owen, Ashley was just worried about you. How could you treat her like that? Ashley rubbed her red eyes, looking at Owen through a blur of tears. When Owen saw me, he instinctively glanced at my wrist. Seeing the jade bracelet still there, much of his frustration seemed to fade. He calmed down, reached out to pull the fallen Ashley up from the floor, and cooed, I'm sorry, honey. I shouldn't have taken it out on you. Ashley wasn't angry with him. She wiped her tears and hugged him, playing the part of the devoted, long-suffering wife. The scene was so nauseating I couldn't watch. I turned and went back upstairs. Honey, don't worry. Everything will be better tomorrow. Ashley's comforting voice trailed after me. I paused for a moment, my eyes cold. I knew why she said that. Tomorrow was the 7th day. After tonight, the fate swapping would be complete. The moment I woke up, Ashley was already urging me to get ready. Chloe, You've been so busy with my and your brother's affairs lately. You haven't had a chance to relax in ages. Let's go camping today. I stared at her and asked casually. Owen just had a major problem at work. Is it really a good time for him to take a day off? Ashley's expression stiffened for a second. Then she smiled and said, the company already approved it. They told him to take a couple of days off to rest. I knew that was the nice way of putting it. The truth was that Owen had messed up, and his boss was fed up with him. In my past life, Owen's career had been smooth sailing. Nothing like this had ever happened. I remembered that day well. I had gone with Ashley to a spa. On our way out, a car lost control and hit me. The hospital tried to save me for hours. Owen only showed up after they declared me dead. At which point he immediately began comforting a guilt-ridden Ashley. Ashley, swapping your fates was my idea, but I'm sure Chloe would have wanted this too. You're her sister-in-law. She's had so many happy years, it's only right that she give you a chance at happiness. At that moment, I was already grieving my own tragic end. To hear those words from the person I trusted most in the world pushed me into utter despair. The feeling of being stabbed in the back by the one person you thought you could count on. I can still feel it now. I stood up. If they were so eager to see me suffer, then today we would settle this for good. I threw a few things together and Ashley enthusiastically pulled me downstairs. Owen's car was parked outside. He had a sullen look on his face, clearly in a bad mood, but as soon as he saw Ashley and me, he forced a smile. Hurry up and get in. The traffic is going to get bad soon. Ashley smiled and got into the passenger seat. I opened the back door and got in. I didn't say a word the whole way, just kept my head down, texting my employees and handling some business. Owen glanced at me in the rearview mirror, a slight frown on his face, and suddenly spoke. Chloe, do you remember how good Mom and Dad were to you when they were alive? I keenly sensed the malice in his tone and looked up calmly, saying nothing. Owen had dark circles under his eyes and looked terrible. He didn't wait for my answer, just continued on his own. They would sneak you allowance money, post on social media whenever you won an award, and they both took you to your college campus. I know they were so good to you because you were exceptional. You always got good grades, and you got into a university I could only dream of. Even though I'm your brother, sometimes, I can't help but be jealous. As he spoke those last words, the jealousy in his eyes was no longer hidden. Ashley looked at him with concern, but not a hint of surprise. She must have known all along. My gaze remained calm. After being reborn, I had considered many possibilities. Maybe Ashley had proposed the fate swapping, and Owen had only harmed me for her sake. Maybe I was the only one who could wear the bracelet for the required 7 days, and he had no other choice but to target me. It wasn't until yesterday, when Owen took his anger about the project out on Ashley, that I discarded all those theories. When all other possibilities are eliminated, what remains must be the truth. Owen was jealous of me, and he had been since we were kids. When our parents were alive, they favored me, the more successful child. After they passed, their assets were split 50-50 between us. I used my share to start a successful business and open several stores. Owen, however, lost all his money and only managed to keep the house our parents left us with my help. I thought we were each other's only family, that we should help each other through thick and thin. But all along he was jealous that my life was better than his. So much so that he was willing to have me killed. After a long silence, I finally said calmly, "So, you were so jealous you wanted me dead, is that it?" My calm reaction surprised him. I reached up and took off the bracelet. Owen's eyes flashed with astonishment. Then his face twisted into a look of triumphant relief. "So you figured it out?" "Yes. Only when you're dead can I finally hold my head up high. Don't worry, Chloe. I'll visit your grave every year." We were on the highway. At that exact moment, a car from the opposite lane lost control and swerved straight toward us. The two cars collided. My pupils contracted. Our car spun several times before slamming into the guardrail. When the dizziness subsided, I quickly checked myself. I was completely unharmed. Owen, in the driver's seat, wasn't so lucky. His face was covered in blood. He said in disbelief, "How could this happen?" The psychic clearly said. He trailed off, then turned to look at Ashley, who only had a few scrapes, and then at me. Finally, he understood. So you knew all along. My bad luck these past few days. The other bracelet is in my bedroom, isn't it? His voice was weak, and he was close to passing out from blood loss. I chuckled softly. I couldn't just wait around to die, could I? With that, I prepared to get out of the car. Fate swapping is a dark art. The person whose good fortune is stolen is meant to suffer a backlash of bad luck, magnified 100 times over in a short period. I'd better get out and get far away. Owen clearly knew this too. His eyes were dark as he gritted his teeth and called out to me. Take your sister-in-law with you. This was my idea. Was it? But I didn't want to save either of them. One was the family who stabbed me in the back. The other was the beneficiary who reaped the rewards. Saving them would do me no good, and would only sicken me. I got out of the car without a second thought, leaving them with one last sentence. Owen, you had a good life and you threw it away looking for trouble. Whatever happens now, you brought it on yourself. It wasn't my choice that our parents favored me. I worked hard to get into college on my own merit and build my business from the ground up. I did nothing wrong. I gave my all for my own future, and as for Owen, I had always shared the allowance money our parents gave me. When I saw his business ideas were flawed, I advised him and helped him. I had done more than enough for him. Honey, don't scare me. Open your eyes and look at me. I'll stay with you. I'll always stay with you. Ashley's desperate cries faded as I walked away. The car suddenly burst into flames. A few minutes later, the ambulance arrived. I watched in silence, a heavy feeling in my chest, but this was an outcome I had foreseen. I couldn't change the jealousy in Owen's heart. For 7 whole days, he never stopped wanting to harm me. We were always destined for this ending. All I could do was pull myself together and keep moving forward, alone.